Frostpunk is a dark, dystopian game set in a post-apocalyptic ice age with a soundtrack made in heaven. I acquired the game when it was free from the Epic Game Store, clueless and unaware of the pain it was about to bring. I only thought that this was a casual game where you do your best to survive, but the moment I uncovered that blanket statement, it caught me off guard. Hello everybody, this is Vincent Znader reviewing 11-Bit Studios' Frostpunk. Frostpunk was developed by the same people that created This War of Mine, and I have to say they're experts when it comes to inflicting emotional pain to the players by giving them detailed and profound narratives that include survival and hard choices. In Frostpunk, you live in a post-apocalyptic world covered in ice and snow, and you, the captain, have to do whatever it takes to survive this harsh, cold world. You can make the choices in research, write laws, manage resources, and you have to make the right decisions or else you'll be banished or executed. To the uninformed gamer, you may think it's just another pointless city builder type of video game, but once you get to play a few times, you begin to realize the depth and complexity of managing a city struggling to survive. The gameplay is quite complex, and it's difficult to understand if you're new to the genre, but that shouldn't stop you from playing the game. The mechanics of Frostpunk are intricate and play a special role in ensuring the survival of your city. You are introduced to discontent and hope, which highly play a role in ensuring the longevity of your rule. As captain, your goal is to keep hopes up and discontent to a really low level. When you have high discontent, you will get cast out by the people who were supposed to believe in you, or you face public execution, which isn't a pretty sight. Each decision you make in the game will affect both hope and discontent, from writing laws and managing your resources. This adds to the difficulty and encourages the player to make hard choices, which I am quite a fan of. There are about 6 resources in Frostpunk: steel, coal, wood, food, your workforce, and steam cores. Steel and wood go hand in hand in research and the development of structures. Wood is essential because of its versatility. You can use it for building homes and different structures, or use it as additional fuel by converting it to charcoal. Coal is by far the most essential resource in the game, since it is responsible for keeping the generator active and keeps the city warm. You can use coal to power up your generator, heat up facilities and steam hubs, and ensures the survival of your people in this vast cold dystopia. It's anxiety-inducing to see your generator and heating shutting down when you lack coal. Without coal, all of your people, including women and children, will slowly freeze to death, and you'll fail the game and end up blaming yourself in the process. Your workforce consists of workers and engineers. Depending on how well heated a facility is, it can increase or decrease the chances of potential illness. Children can also be in the workforce when you sign the child labor law, which honestly I don't prefer going that route unless you are prepared for the consequences. They're better off as apprentices for either medics or engineers, but overall your workforce is what keeps the city running, so managing them properly is key. Food can only be acquired through farming them in the hothouse or hunting animals. It is essential to prevent your citizens from starvation, so being able to feed everyone should be prioritized. Steam cores are the rarest and most scarce resource in the game. Since they are a rare item, it is only used for automation like automatons and advanced infrastructure, and they can only be acquired through exploration. It's gratifying to get steam cores since it just adds more automation into your city, so your workforce can be relocated somewhere else so that the automatons can take over. Automatons are those big spire-looking machines that help in facilities. They only need to be recharged every once in a while, and they're really useful in gathering resources. They are really helpful in sustaining the city, especially during the dreaded storm. These resources are essential to the city's survival, but there's another thing that keeps the city alive. Laws are another gameplay mechanic in Frostpunk, and it is crucial in the game's progression. The laws you make influences the city's discontent and hope. There are laws specific for adaptation, and you can choose between order or faith, depending on how you want the campaign to go. What makes laws interesting is that it gives you the choice on how you want your city to be. You can either turn it into a faithful monarch society where the people in your city are devoted to you, or you can rule with an iron fist and establish absolute power for people to obey you. The adaptation laws are a core mechanic of the game since it influences how your city operates. Each law in this game affects how people see you, which forces you to be more vigilant and careful about the laws you make. It fascinates me how this can either help or sabotage you in the long term. As I was playing, I was forced to make hard decisions, and I did my best to make it all pay off, only for them to execute me since I failed to fulfill their needs. Laws can either be a punch in the gut or the salvation to your city, so make the right choices. Frostpunk integrates exploration and adds to the game's entertainment factor. You can send scouts outside the city to look for supplies and survivors. You can also add outposts outside the cities so they can do round trips for supplies. The role of the scouts is crucial since they can send survivors to the city and they can help in contributing to the labor force and improve the quality of life. Scouts are really important in this game because they can acquire rare resources like steam cores and they bring in good supplies when your city is running out of resources. In my opinion, scouts are the cream of the crop in this game since they can help out in different needs the city has, increasing the likelihood of surviving the cold winter. The overall difficulty of the game is fairly moderate. Even if you play it on easy mode, there will still be instances where you make wrong decisions and face the brutal consequences. The way you can change the difficulty is versatile. You can customize the difficulty to your liking by changing the difficulty of the people's needs, the economy, the brutality of the weather, and society's attitude. Depending on how good you are at city builder games, the easy difficulty may be a casual experience. Survivor mode is for more experienced players because you cannot pause the game to make decisions. I'm still learning the game and I've only played it for 18 hours, so that's just a disclaimer since I haven't experienced the game in its entirety. I've only played the game in such a short period of time, but in those 18 hours, I managed to be able to get a good chunk of information and narrative from the main campaign A New Home. The main campaign starts off easy, but as your resources deplete one by one, you're forced to decide on what you should prioritize. As someone new to the game, it's a stressful experience and it did not prepare me for what was going to happen. Frostpunk challenges new players to think, which is what I've always liked about simulation games. The complexity and novel mechanics completely surprised me, so I did my best to get over the learning curve. Despite many failed attempts, I managed to be able to sustain my resources and workforce, but that was before I knew about the storm. The storm came to me as a surprise. Since I never thought much of what the storm was capable of, I didn't make any drastic action. Not because I chose not to act quickly, but because I wasn't able to meet the needs of stockpiling enough coal to last the whole storm. I didn't even get to the point where it would last a few days because coal and food were only enough for about 16 hours. The moment the storm came in, I was anxious and I tried to get the workforce to operate and get more coal, but they all started freezing to death. Soon after, whole families started dying and I was not able to get over the fact that 118 people died from the storm. That was the first game that I completed, and I gotta say, that was painful. In the end, I survived the storm, but at what cost? I didn't feel like I won or anything. I just felt dreadful when I realized the lost souls who froze to death in the storm because of my lack of initiative. Like I said before, 11-bit Studios is highly capable of making the players feel dread by putting them into unwanted situations, and to be honest, I never expected the game to be that upsetting and nerve-wracking. With the freezing gusts of wind during the storm, accompanied by the most somber score I've ever heard, the storm is just death and suffering mixed with an orchestral masterpiece. Frostpunk is highly underrated and needs more praise for being a well-made survival city builder game. 11-bit Studios deserves the credit, and I highly applaud them for developing such a well-made video game that kept me up at night. I'd give the replay value a 9.5 out of 10. There are many scenarios in the game, so you probably won't get sick of it until you get to play all of it. There are many strategies and different ways to win the game, so every time you play is different. Graphics are an 8 out of 10, it's highly immersive and really puts you in that specific scenario. Writing is a solid 10 out of 10 because the narrative vividly describes the struggle to survive and for humanity to thrive in such a desolate, cold environment. The gameplay is a 9 out of 10 since I haven't seen any game-breaking bugs, and once you get a hang of the game, you'll get a smooth experience. Overall, I'd give this game a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend you guys to play this game since this is a good start for new city builder players and a pretty nice game for veterans to play. Thank you all for taking the time and watching this review on Frostpunk. If you guys like more content like this, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.